What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. I've noticed a bunch of you keep coming back but haven't subscribed yet. What are you waiting for? Be a part of the biggest and best daily baseball show on YouTube. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Corbett Burnes, who had 3 Ks in 5 1/3 innings. He did leave the game early with what looks to be a minor pec injury. Burnes had this 97-mile-an-hour sinker, this dead zone cutter, and this 96-mile-an-hour cutter that was totally chalked. By chalk, I mean it was on the chalk of the batter's box. And I love the announcer's reaction to this.
Oh, that is a bad call.
But my favorite part of the game was this absolutely brilliant pickoff by Corbin Burnes. There were 2 outs, a 3-2 count on the hitter, and runners on first and second. As you know, in those situations, you automatically start the runner as the pitcher is going to deliver the ball. And in this case, if the pitch clock gets to 0, Burnes has to deliver the ball, or else it's an automatic ball, and the batter will walk. So you can see Burnes deliberately waits until there's about a second or under on the pitch clock, and then he turns the pick at second base. And of course, the runner had already started running because he had assumed that Burnes was either going to go to the plate or the pitch clock was going to expire. So Burnes, in an Einstein-level move, picks the runner off and then sprints to the dugout in his patented pitchers are athletes too sprint. Just Einstein-level baseball by Corbin Burnes. And one of the most absolutely brilliant things I've seen done using the pitch clock as a weapon. While Burnes isn't the filthiest pitcher of the day, he may be the smartest pitcher of the day. Burnes faced off against Chris Flexen, who had this changeup and fastball on his way to 5 Ks in 6 innings. He did give up 4 runs. Jesus Luzardo, the Jesus Lizard, had 6 Ks in 4 1/3 innings, giving up 3 runs. He had these fastballs at the knees, elevated fastballs, the changeup, and sliders, and got a sword on a slider. He was up against Logan Webb, who had 6 Ks in 6 2/3 innings. Webb was really strong early, gave a few runs late, but had this painted 2-seamer, his sliders and changeup, and this wipeout slider that got the sword. I had people ask, why did he swing at the slider? It was clearly a ball. Well, when you overlay it with his sinker, which runs back to the plate, you see what happened. It's basically a guess. If you guess right, you might hammer that sinker, but if you guess wrong, you kind of look stupid swinging at a pitch way out of the zone. Hunter Greene only had 1 K in 3 innings because he left with an injury after getting hit by a comebacker in his leg. He did have this nasty 91-mile-an-hour changeup. And since Greene is mostly viewed as a fastball slider pitcher, it's good to see him trying to add a 3rd pitch. That will pay off down the line. He was up against Jalen Beeks, who has this really unique arm action. It's kind of a throwback to T-Rex because he has this little tiny take back, just like old Tyrannosaurus Rex and his short arms. David Peterson had 6 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 6 runs. Pretty much the line of the beast. And he had this nasty changeup and slider. He was up against Dustin May, who honestly really wasn't all that good. May did have this K on this 99-mile-an-hour fastball, but gave up 5 runs in 5 2/3 innings. Rich Hill, a.k.a. Dick Mountain, had a great outing. He had 7 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run. And he had this beautiful 69-mile-an-hour curveball. Anytime Dick Mountain gets 69, you know it's going to be featured here. He also had these fastballs and had his always awesome, awkward follow-throughs. Christian Javier had 5 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 1 run thanks to these fastballs. He faced off against Kevin Gausman, who was not Kevin Gausman-like. He actually got shelled, giving up 7 runs in 4 2/3 innings. He did have 5 Ks, and most of them were on these splitters. Jack Flaherty went 6 innings, giving up 4 runs and had 4 Ks thanks to his fastballs. And he was up against Merrill Kelly, who had 3 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run thanks to these dirty changeups. Max Fried was back and looked awesome. He had 5 scoreless innings with 4 Ks and only 4 hits. He, of course, had his absolutely gorgeous curveballs, one of the best curveballs in the game, and a nasty changeup, and then threw this 95-mile-an-hour dead zone fastball. Fried's fastball can give you trouble because it kind of acts like a cutter. It has virtually no horizontal movement, where most fastballs run a good bit arm side. So as a hitter, you're kind of expecting it to run, and when it doesn't, it really does act like a cutter. He was up against Ryan Weathers, who went 6 innings with 5 Ks, giving up 2 runs and had this changeup. Jacob deGrom was totally brilliant for the time he pitched. He did leave the game early with some wrist issues, and I'm really hoping this isn't something that's going to make him miss starts. Because my man has had enough injuries, and I love watching him pitch. He went 4 innings, giving up no hits, had 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. He had these vicious sliders, his 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and I thought this overlay was absolutely amazing. Here's an overlay of a 99-mile-an-hour fastball and a 92-mile-an-hour slider, and if you look at his mechanics here, look how absolutely identical they are. It's almost like my man is a robot. A robot that occasionally breaks down, but still a robot. You just can't do that any better. And then these pitches tunnel so well, and you can see why you might swing at that slider in the dirt that mirrors the fastball all the way to the plate. deGrom faced off against Jordan Lyles, who was solid with 3 Ks in 8 innings, giving up only 1 earned run on 3 hits, and had this slider. Shohei Ohtani was spectacular. Well, for the 2 innings he pitched, because he couldn't come back after that long rain delay they had yesterday. But while he was in there, he put on an absolute sweeper show. Look at these things. That's up to 20 inches of horizontal break. And I did this overlay with his 98-mile-an-hour fastball and an 81-mile-an-hour sweeper. And look how impossible that is. That sweeper stays on the plane of that 98-mile-an-hour fastball and then veers off. Just a nightmare combo for hitters. Also, thanks to the rain delay, we got treated to a game of charades by Shohei. Or should we call them show-rades? Anyway, I think I solved it. He was looking for another pitch com because his pitch com got wet. Ohtani faced off against highly touted young pitcher Brayan Bello. And Bello had 5 Ks in 2 2/3 innings, but did give up 5 runs. He had his fastball was 96-97, and, of course, his signature changeup. Ohtani could have been my filthiest starter of the day, but I kind of felt bad giving it to a starter who only threw 2 innings. And he'll win a lot more during the year. So my filthiest pitcher of the day was Hayden Wesneski, who had 7 Ks in 7 innings, thanks to these disgusting sweepers, including this one that was barrel locking. One of my Twitter followers was kind enough to Photoshop a toilet in. Wesneski's sweepers sweeped up to 20 inches horizontally. Total frisbee-like stuff. Now onto my filthiest relievers. Matt Barnes had this curveball and fist pump. Miguel Castro had this 95-mile-an-hour two-seamer that ran 18 inches and also painted with his changeup. Tucker Davidson was brilliant with his sweepers and sliders, and he had 3 Ks in 3 1/3 innings. Dylan Lee had 4 Ks in 2 innings, thanks to his slider, changeup, and fastball. Phil Maton had these dirty breaking balls, had 4 Ks in 2 innings, giving up no runs and no hits. Genesis Cabrera got these Ks, but more importantly, had these totally smooth K struts. I freaking love that. And my filthiest reliever of the day, or best reliever of the day, goes to Kutter Crawford, who went 6 1/3 innings with 5 Ks in relief, giving up only 1 hit and no runs. And I love this after his elevated fastball K yelling out, "Let's f***ing go! Fire me up, Kutter!"
Ninja, super jacked to be back on the program, bringing the hugest dongs of the week to the best baseball fans on the planet. We're going to start with Jack Sawinski, who says, "You're going to bring in Danny Trejo to throw me a 59-mile-per-hour meatball? I'm going to bring the noise and put it 461 away off the upper deck." Jack Sawinski, by the way, with a phenomenal home run name, might have the new crown ever since Johnny Dickshot retired in 1945. Next, we're going to head over to the Inner Harbor and honor Ryan Mountcastle for being the first person ever to make consecutive appearances on Dong of the Week. Last episode, he was featured for going yard and aggressively following up with the homer hose. And here he hits a 3-run tank, respectable 417 feet for his 5th RBI of the game. But then in his next at-bat, he hits a 456-foot grand slam for his 9th RBI of the game. Ninja, thank God the Orioles don't have an RBI hose, or Mountcastle's BAC would be higher than Luis Arias's batting average. But the long dong of the week goes to CJ Cron for spelunking this ball 479 feet. Now, I know you're probably saying, Leahey, that's a Coors Field, it doesn't count. To which I say, listen, hotshot, we don't dong shame around here. If you hit the ball 479, I don't care if you're in Kenya, you're getting featured here. And that's your dong.
And now, my pitching ninja moment of zen. It's Wayno going for his first ever Gold Hat Award. Hold your applause, ladies and gentlemen. What is up, everybody? My picks of the day today are a 3-leg parlay. I'm going to start out with Sonny Gray for 4 Ks or more, then take Nick Lodolo for 7 Ks or more, and top it off with Spencer Strider, aka Quadzilla, for 8 Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?